experimenting with.
Good evening, Keepers of the Cash. Gary B, the Casual Comic Guy here, and joined every Tuesday, as is 98% of the time always, Rob, Fat Stacks of Comics.
98.6% of the time, always.
Right. It's like
Right.
Sex Panther
all
cologne.
the time, except when he's
100%
not.
of the time, 60% of the
Every
time.
all the time, except when he's not.
Exactly. Well, I was trying to make a roundabout Anchorman joke, but it just
Right. I got
clubbed
you.
it right out of the gate.
Right. Well, much like Sex Panther, anyways.
Right.
He gets flubs right out of the gate.
And joining us this evening, our guest of the hour, we have Mr. Comiverse himself. Tony, how you doing tonight, sir?
Pretty good. Greetings from the Comiverse. I hope everybody's doing well.
Yeah, and Tony, as I like to do, for those who do not know who you are and are catching this on the rewind or are new to you in the chat, who is Tony? What is Comiverse? And give us a little bit about your channel before we say hi to our chat.
Well, my name's Tony, Tony Gross, and I just a guy that works at a turkey plant that just happened to love reading and collecting comics for the last 35 years. I started Comiverse just to talk about my love of comics and to find other people of a like mind and use it maybe as a tool to help people give advice if needed. When I first started, I hardly had anybody help me, so I had to figure a lot of stuff on my own. So I wanted to try to help somebody, to enjoy comics however they enjoy them. And the idea for the channel really sparked when I watched a video from Small Town Collectibles and Jimmy Don. He had talked about the reason why he started his channel, and that kind of fired me up to start mine.
Nice.
Well, yeah, Jimmy's one of the original Usual Suspects.
A ghost.
I love his stuff.
We don't see him anymore, but
I still talk to him on the phone here and there.
Yeah, well, rumor has it he's going to try to make it to Heroes Con.
Oh, so. Good. Yeah, it's been too long since Jimmy's been a presence on the channels.
But you said something there that I loved. I heard right in there that it's like you talked about one of my goddamn favorite things in the world to smoke. You said turkey. I love that shit. That's the best. Thank you, sir, for making. I can make sure I can have those.
I've been doing it for 18 years.
Damn, that's my favorite thing ever. Spatchcock a turkey and smoke that over a pecan.
Never had it that way. Wouldn't
God damn it, Gary! I'm gonna teach you, man. You're gonna find a whole new world.
Oh, now I got that Disney song in my head. A whole new world. All right, let's say hi to the chat before we go completely off the rails. In first, as always, so we know it's going to be a great show. We have Las Cruces. Good evening, sir. Warlord's here. Good evening, bud. Warlord is on in 2 nights with an extra the 10-1-1. That's when we can make it work for him, and we are doing that. Chris, good evening, sir. Psychedelic Comics, how are you? And we're going to keep going down here. Jerry the Jitterbug, always great to see you, buddy. Love the shirt. Killers, nice.
Yep.
Eddie from the Batcave, always great to see Eddie. Eddie, how you doing, sir? Trev, how are you? Joe, how are you tonight, buddy? Nice to see you. Brian LCS, Digger Jim. Good evening, gents. Nice to see you both. Guys who are always supporting everybody. Nice to see them. And let's see, did I miss anyone so far? No, just a whole lot of hellos going back and forth. All right.
I got a question. So if there's a live stream and Las Cruces isn't there to say hello, is it really live stream?
That's a good question.
Right.
Fortunately, he's here. We don't have to worry about that. All right. As a silence, death silence falls across the universe. All right. So
And we have Nicholas here. I wanted to shout him out. Great guy, Nick.
Even let's gracious.
Right? Collecting with theirs. Good evening, Adam. We're trying to make a schedule work to get him on both shows.
That would be awesome.
All right, so now, without further ado, and asides, there'll be plenty more asides. Trust us. But for now, Tony, let's lead out with your first book, sir, and see what's important to you in collecting.
Well, for the first book, I figured I would choose the book that started it all for me in 1987, and that is Captain America 333.
Ooh.
Pardon the glare.
It's fine. Glare's part of what it is.
But this was the first book that I bought at a grocery store. It pulled me in. I never really stopped. Well, I've stopped from time to time, but ironically, now it's a key saying that it's the first John Walker, but I didn't know who John Walker was back then. I just really love the story, and my aunt, after I got this one, she hooked me up with a subscription to Captain America that went all the way to issue 350, so I got to read that whole storyline. So yeah, this has always been a big issue for me, and even if I find one, I'll pick it up even if I got 2, 3, 4 copies.
Nice. We all have those books. Unfortunately for me, I have like 20 or 30 of those books that I always pick up when I see them.
That one and ASM 248. If I see a copy of it anywhere, I'll pick them up. No hesitation.
Nice. So, a Cap fan from way back. Now,
Oh yeah.
was it John Walker in particular that got you into comics, or was it actually Steve Rogers?
Actually, honestly, when I first started collecting, that cover was what got me to buy the Cap book. All I knew about Captain America was when he showed up on like a Spider-Man cartoon or the '70s Captain America movies. That's
I
all
was
I
going
knew
to
of
ask
Cap.
you
I
if you
did.
watch those TV movies with the clear plastic shield and the.
Right.
A buddy of mine actually gave me the DVD set, so I still got. I mean, I got them. But
Such
so
guilty pleasure watches.
oh yeah, when I got this book and it's like, wait a minute, so Steve quit. Who the hell Steve? you know.
Right.
But I learned real quick. I learned real quick.
Now, what did you think of Did you watch a Disney Plus show with him on it?
Yes, I did. And honestly, I was wondering how they were going to handle, you know, him going berserk because, in that whole storyline, the catalyst of him. Well, he showed little signs throughout, that he was going to start going a little nuts. I think
Right.
what was it, 338 or something? He killed Professor Power, but I don't know if that was intentional or not. But it wasn't until his parents, he watched his parents get murdered that he snapped and slaughtered every one of those watchdogs, and you just knew something bad was going to happen.
Yeah, it was great in the show when he snapped because you didn't think Disney would go there with the blood on the shield, but they did, and you were like, yes.
Yeah, that really surprised me. And yeah, I was like, yeah.
And I thought it was cool. It was played by Kurt Russell's son, so Wyatt Russell.
Absolutely. Absolutely. My only wish is that they'd have hung around, or Battlestar would have hung around a little bit longer.
Right. That's okay. I mean, no one's ever truly dead in superhero movies. They'll find a way.
That's true. That is very
All right.
true.
Number 2, sir. Good start.
All right, number 2. We talked about this in the hot seat. We talked about my favorite vampire movies, so this was a no-brainer for me to put in here. This is the first issue of Fright Night from Now Comics.
Nice.
This series ran for 22 issues, and it had like 4 3D specials and a graphic novel representation of Fright Night Part 2. What's cool about this is the first 2 issues is a adaptation of the 1985 movie, and then the rest of them are all brand new original stories. And you'd see Evil Ed come back in issue 8. Even Jerry Dandridge got resurrected, but that's a story in itself. It's a little crazy, and it's interesting that, huh?
So you read the whole 22 issues?
I used to have all 22 issues, but I got stupid and sold them all. And I'm trying to get them all back. And the last issue, it really wasn't intended for the series to end. Something happened and it just stopped because it had a next issue blurb at the end page. But I'm waiting on the eBay order because once I get that in, I'll have every issue again for the 22 issue
Oh,
run.
nice.
I need to get the specials and the graphic novel, but for the most part, I'll have this back.
It's such a great movie too.
Yeah, like I said, it's my favorite vampire flick. But I had to throw that in there.
No, that's a great one. I love the personal touch ones like that too. And you know that they relaunched that series this last year, right?
Yeah,
Fragment?
I've got 2 different covers for part 1 or issue 1, and I've got issue 2. I'm waiting for issue 3 whenever it comes around.
Yeah, because I was surprised by the original writer, I think, too.
Yeah, I believe
Yeah.
he's got the rights to the series again.
Oh, good. All right, so
Well,
number 3. Sorry, I had to
all right,
silence my phone. It started going crazy as soon as the show here started.
all right. Okay, number 3. I got my stuff shuffled up wrong. All right, this one is, well, it's not the first Batman book I ever bought, but after all these years, it's still my favorite Batman story ever. And this is Batman 427. Oh, this is the direct version. And it took me like all of 4 months, but I got all of these in graded format because, I love the story. When I was a kid back in '88, I believe,
Right.
when you had to call in, I actually called in and, well, I voted to kill him because I didn't know really at the time. I was just starting to read comics, and
It's your fault.
Jason kind of, yeah, I
You
know Jason kind of
cold-hearted,
annoyed me,
child-killing bastard.
but it's funny because I felt bad about it and then called the other number 2 and voted to save him. So I mean,
Oh, you canceled
but
yourself out.
Now
yeah,
you can see that your vote was a vote for Red Hood, not for the death of Jason Todd. You knew he would be resurrected.
that's true. And I was really picky about which version of this issue I wanted because you know the people that collect know there's a difference between the direct and the newsstand because the direct has the ad in the back and the newsstand doesn't.
Oh,
But
I did not know that.
yep. But yeah, I just thought I'd show this one off since this was this is the one I got with it has the ads in the back of it. And like I said, I want to show this one off because it's still, after all these years, it's still my favorite Batman storyline of all time. Nightfall coming in second.
Call
Now, do you
976.
go back and still read it in graphic novel form or reprints or anything?
Oh yeah, I've got the trade. I read it probably 2 or 3 times a year.
Nice. All right, number 4, sir.
All right, number 4. Now, also in the hot seat, I mentioned that this was one of my favorite characters I consider to be underused. So my number 4 pick is Amazing Spider-Man 134, first appearance of the Tarantula,
Oh
and
yeah.
it may or may not be the second appearance of that guy Frank Castle. Depends on who you go by, because some people say 134, some people say 135.
Nobody likes that character anyway. I think he was a flop.
Yeah, there's a flash in the pan.
Yeah. No longevity with that guy.
But yeah, I don't know what it is about the Tarantula character, but ever since when I first started collecting, I got a reprint of this in Marvel Tales, and I just really liked this character.
I agree with you. He's a fun character, underutilized, and a really weird ending in that series too.
Yeah,
And I'm
I even
surprised
liked
they
the
never
second
brought
one.
him back.
Yeah, I know. I even liked when they did a second Tarantula. I thought that one was pretty cool, and I think he had a messed up ending as well.
A cursed
Probably not.
ability.
Well, not as messed up as the first guy, but it was still kind of messed up.
Yeah, the cover for his death issue is pretty wacky too.
Oh yeah, yeah.
See, I like when people like the obscure villains like that.
Yeah, he's one of those ones that you just don't think about until you think about him, and then you go, oh yeah, why not? What's going on with that?
Well, I thought it was funny that until Black Widow came out, I bet hardly anybody outside comics knew who Taskmaster was. So I mean,
Right. Well, if they watch, I like Black Widow, but if they watch Black Widow, they still don't know who Taskmaster is.
Exactly.
But
Well,
and I'm a fan of that movie. I actually like that movie a lot. But the Taskmaster was the weak point of it, even
yeah,
though
I
it's
was gonna
played
say
by
that.
a great actress.
Yeah, I was gonna say there's a funny story about that when me and my brother went and watched it, but I'll save that for another time because it was not intentional, but let's just say he knew that I wasn't happy.
And I wanted the costume to be a little more classically designed too.
Yeah,
Not so Ultron looking, but
yeah, yeah. I think I wanted more of the comic book version of Taskmaster.
right. And what I'm sorry, you just showed
That
Tarantula
was yeah, it was book 4.
number 5.
All right. So number 5, going back to my love of the '80s cartoons, I had to put this one in there. First issue of Transformers.
Oh, nice.
I've had this since the '90s. I bought this. I bought a box of comics out of a comic shop that coincidentally 2 months later burned to the ground. But he had this box of comics for like $30. It might have been it was either $30 or $50. Nobody could look in the box. It was a blind buy, and I paid $50 for this box and got this, about 5 copies of Spawn #1, Uncanny X-Men 137 and 141, and then a bunch of other stuff. And this thing
Solid deal.
I read this thing forever, and when we sent it in, I got it cleaned and pressed, and I expected it to come back a 3 or a 4, and I was shocked when it came back at a 7. So I mean,
Nice.
and for
And
me, it
just one
wasn't
of
a
those,
grade.
right? You're just sealing it for personal reasons.
Mhm.
Yeah, as a matter of
I have a
fact,
lot of books I do that with.
in the video that I made, for CBCS, I did a submission preview and then an unboxing, and in the preview, I actually said in the video that this would come back as the lowest grade, and it didn't.
Oh, nice. Well, it's a great Bill Sienkiewicz cover too, and
Yeah,
just I don't know. It's just one of those iconic covers you remember when you think of classic covers in comics. That comes to mind. Micronauts 1, stuff like that. Just there's some classic covers from classic artists. Even Frank Miller, who did the Wolverine and also Rom. Just like you don't expect them to be on some of these oddball titles, but they were.
yeah. I think my second favorite comic cover of that series, I believe it's issue 5 with Shockwave on it. To me, that's like one of the best covers ever.
That they're all dead.
Yeah, I was gonna say, isn't that the
Exactly.
dead
Yes.
one? Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, I can't remember if that's 4 or 5, but whatever it is, we know what you mean. Obviously.
Yeah.
You got Travis trolling Rob here.
Yeah.
There you
But
go.
what's funny though,
At least I
More
got my
than meets
pants
the
on.
grade.
what's funny is after it took me 20 years, but I've got every single issue that Marvel ever put out of Transformers.
Nice.
Nice. It's a good run to have, especially because you can't get that run in trade. You either have the issues or you don't.
Yeah. Yeah,
That's
because even the trade.
that's the cool thing about those. It's the hard thing about those licensed properties and the cool thing. Like
Yeah.
I have all my ROMs and you can't get that in trade. I have all my Micronauts. You can't get that in trade because you either have those licensed books or you don't have them. Same with
Yeah.
GI Joe, the Marvel runs.
I wish I would have worked on my GI Joe when I was working on the Transformers.
But $30 for that box to hold all that stuff, what a bargain, dude.
Yeah. Even in the '90s.
Yeah, that's a steal all day long.
The great thing with the GI Joe, even is a run that, aside from like 3 issues, it's not that bad. You can pick them up pretty inexpensively, in good quality.
Yeah.
You can, and all those series, they want a respectable amount, but not an amount that's so intimidating you can't collect them.
Right. Well, I'm saying like you can get, VF condition of raw books for like $20 or less. for most of the issues, even the ones that have like 3 and 4 and 5 first appearances. There's so many first appearances that unless it's like, Optimus and Megatron, it's like I said, there's like whether it's Transformers or whether it's GI Joe, there's like less than 5 issues of each one, which start to get pricey. And even then, the priciest book isn't, when you compare it to other properties, it's not out of the realm of possibility. It's
No.
like Spectacular Spider-Man.
Yeah.
Well, that too, and now Star Wars is following that model, right? Where there's a new appearance or 5 every issue now. Like
Well,
GI
there's so
Joe
much
is the
things to happen.
original,
But even if you go back to you go back to the original Marvel Star Wars run, it's the same thing. There's only 3 books that are pricey, and the rest of them are relatively easy to come by and inexpensively, especially if you just want to build yourself a nice reader collection and you're not worried about grading them.
right?
If you just want something that's like a 5.5 or 5.5 to 7.5 range, you're gonna be picking those up all day long for a couple bucks, maybe even a buck.
Right. Or sometimes you can get those sweet deals on Whatnot.
Or you might be watching Only Slabs and just win them in the pull box. You never know.
Right. I've heard of that show.
Yeah.
At some point tonight, you'll have to tell us what that is all about.
Yeah, it's a little bit derivative, but
I want to go to there. No. Right. Number 6.
All right.
If
So
you got
number
that
6.
reference, Bob.
Number 6 would be, okay, I always said that Amazing Spider-Man 248 is one of my favorite Spider-Man stories. I would have to say that this Spider-Man story was one of my first what the F moments. And in a good way. I mean, I'd never read a story like this before. And of course, I'm talking about
Craven's Last Hunt.
Craven's Last Hunt. Because I never
And-
knew who Craven was before I read this, and this blew me away.
Well, I mean, that's the run that legitimized Craven. He was always kind of a silly character until then.
Yeah. Because when he shot Spider-Man and put him in the hole, I was like, surely he's coming back.
Stop calling him Shirley.
Yeah. And I could have showed off any book of this run, but I want to show this one because in 2014, I met Bob McLeod and got it signed.
nice.
And just what great art in that series. And it also had another villain that I think is underused that I really like. He's sympathetic, and that's Vermin.
Yeah. Yeah, I just recently, about a year ago, tracked down his first appearance in Cap.
Yeah, he's such a sad character. Like, I never want Vermin to lose because I just feel bad for him whenever he's in a story.
Yeah. He gets picked on a lot.
Absolutely, Dr. Von Hoot. Still one of the best.
Yeah.
And I like, too, that
can't-
even
you
years
can't-
after that story, you had Spider-Man dealing with the PTSD of that event.
Yeah, Chris the comic vet won't shut up about it. It's apparent.
Right. Oh, I'll pick on Rob about this after. I got to make a note. Number 7, sir.
All right.
Great book so far, Tony. This is awesome, dude.
Thank you. Now, this one was almost my spec video or spec pick, but I dropped it down. But this was my introduction to Ghost Rider. I knew who Johnny Blaze was, but this was the first Ghost Rider series I collected.
Yes, Danny Ketch is my favorite Ghost Rider.
He is mine too. He is mine too, but that's because I read so little of Johnny Blaze. I got to read some of the original Ghost Rider run with Johnny Blaze, but this is the guy that I collected just about every issue I can get my hands on.
I had read most of the run of the Johnny Blaze, and then I read that. I had all 88 issues of that at one point. Now I have 0. Because I had moved so much when I was younger, I ended up selling my collection twice, which is just sad now.
I think I had like 85 issues and sold it, and I'm working on mine too. I think I'm about half there.
But him
again,
and his sister Barbara, I love that run. Danny Ketch is my favorite Ghost Rider.
And as you can tell on the cover,
motorcycle.
Oh yeah, I was gonna say you can tell on the cover. I got it signed by Howard Mackey and Javier Salteras. And
Yeah,
I've thought about.
and I love the in that run too the Mark Texera art
Yeah,
when he was doing Ghost Rider, so good.
yeah. But I have contemplated sending this into CBCS. I mean,
Oh, that would be that would look great in a case.
yeah.
And it was just a it's just a cool cover too. It's simple and effective.
And if I'm not mistaken, I don't know when it starts, but I think Howard Mackey's doing a 5-issue Danny Ketch story again soon.
Yeah, just that first issue too when he puts his hand on the gas cap.
Yeah.
Just I don't know what is going on. I can't. I have not. My phone has not gone off for 2
Just
hours.
ignore it.
I am, but I'm trying to keep. I keep trying to silence it, and then a different notifications popping up that I can't silence.
Turn it off.
I might have to.
Put it in a bucket of water.
See, to this day too, and when I was watching Agents of Shield, Tony, and I don't know if you were a fan of that show.
I watched the first 3 seasons.
And I thought that kept getting better. The Ghost Rider season was really good. And that was my introduction actually to the Robbie Reyes Ghost Rider.
Yeah.
And just I thought he was really cool too. It made me want to seek out the Robbie Reyes comics. But and that Ghost Rider in that TV show looked better than the Ghost Rider movies. Which told you how much effects came along just in those years.
Yeah. Well, I'll admit I love the first Ghost Rider movie, but that was mostly because of Sam Elliott.
Yeah. Look, I like Nick Cage. He is not. He's not Johnny Blaze. He's not a Danny Ketch. You can't Nick Cage Ghost Rider. That's one thing Nick Cage doesn't work for.
No.
And, did you ever see his Superman screen test things? That was a weird looking Superman.
Tim Burton Superman.
Yeah,
I just saw pictures.
Yeah, it's I'm like, I'm kind of glad we didn't get that. and I like Nick Cage, but there's some things that just don't fit certain people, and I don't know. Sam Elliott was the best. But then that was with that one guy who kept making all the hero movies back then. That Mark Steven Johnson or whatever his name was. He did the Daredevil. He and so you kept having good actors in the movies, but the scripts were always just not up to par.
Yeah.
All right, number 8, sir.
All right. So number 8 is a book that honestly I never thought I'd own. I actually kind of got it for a Christmas present because I used all my Christmas money to buy it. And that's X-Men 94.
Ooh, okay, nice. A hot book right now.
Yeah, there was a comic shop in Jonesboro. They went out of business now, but they had a copy for $100. It was $150, and I was really scraping to try to get the money. It was Christmas. My mother gave me a $50 gift card, and I'd saved up the rest of the money. And like literally 4 days after Christmas, I picked it up, and my buddy cleaned and pressed it. We sent it in and got it because I had to get this one graded. But this is one of those books that I always knew about, but I never actually thought that I would get it. And my wife giving the go ahead was what really kicked me into gear to buy it because I was kind of hem-hawing. Even my buddy told me you need to get it, but I was kind of hem-hawing about it. But when she told me to get it, I was like, all right, I got to get it.
And that's good because that book heated up, and what a great thing for your wife to do for you too, right? She knows you want it, and she probably told you to go get it because she didn't want to hear you talking about it anymore, right? Just go get the damn book.
Probably. And
it was worth the money to her not to have to hear about it anymore.
When we get to the next pick, her story continues. But anyway.
Ooh. Now, is Mr. Sinister your favorite X-Men villain?
As far as villains go, I've always Sinister I don't know. It would go back between Sinister and Apocalypse because I've always loved Apocalypse since he first appeared. But I also love Sinister because of his when he was in Inferno. So I don't know. I guess I'd have to go with Sinister. Yeah,
And he's got a pretty iconic design to him too.
yeah,
He's got that vampire feel to him.
yeah.
But yeah, great villain. All right, number 9, sir. You can continue your story.
All right. So I was hesitant about getting this book. This book is one of those books where I've always told people I have 3 grails or 3 books I'd like to own before I die. 2 of the books are ASM 121 and 122. And the third
Okay.
book is this one. This one goes back to me being a fan of Kiss.
I was waiting.
And it,
Magazine.
yeah. And the funny thing is you, I never see this local. I'll never find this in the wild. So I was on my comic shop. I found a copy. It was the cheapest one they had, and I didn't know if I mean I really hem hawed about this one, and I wanted this book since I was 13 years old, and I went and talked to the wife because it was this is the most I've paid for a comic book, which was like $250, and I discussed it with her, and I said, look, if you say no, I'm not going to get it, and she knew it, but she also knew that how much I wanted this book and how long I've dreamed of having it, so she said go get it. Because we had the extra money at the time, and she said, "Go get it." So I didn't waste a second.
And you're not going to pay anywhere near $250 for that now. That book is, in that condition is like an $800 book right now.
And I want to get this one slab because if you look right here, when I did the unboxing for this, I was so happy. I said, "Let's open it up and see what it looks like on the inside." And I put the book down for a second, and some Scotch tape got a hold of it.
Oh,
And
you winded yourself.
if you watch the video, you could tell my expression. You could tell my expression because I just kind of covered it up and ended the video quickly because I was about to go on a cussing rant. But it has been cleaned and pressed, and if I don't get this thing submitted before Memphis Comic Expo in September, I'm gonna send this up here and probably get it sent to CGC or somewhere because I'm gonna get this to protect graded to protect it from me because I'm afraid I'm gonna screw it.
Yeah, each member of the band, Jerry, got their fingers pricked and put some blood in the ink.
Yep, the red ink.
Now, are you going to send it to CGC or are you going to try the new CBCS magazine case?
Well, I want to send it to CGC, but when I first thought about it, I sent emails to CGC and CBCS because I didn't know how to submit it, whether I'd submit it as a magazine or a comic. And CBCS was the only ones that responded back. CGC didn't.
Really?
So, I mean, yeah.
Most people these days have the other way around, where CBCS doesn't respond to email, but CGC does.
But CGC, I know they redid their. I don't know if they've redone their cases yet. I think they have.
They're not good yet.
But they are really rickety. I would definitely, just my opinion, go with CBCS.
My problem is, Gary, is I can't say that because I've yet to see, and maybe it's out there. Somebody can forward me the link. I've yet to see a review by any community member of the supposed mysterious CBCS magazine slab that they have on their website. Now, it could be that, like everything else CBCS, it takes 2.5 fortnights and another year before it comes back to you. And so we're still waiting for the first ones to come back from grading. But, I've yet to see a review on one.
I just sent 2 more books out to CBCS, so I'm hoping this doesn't take me another year to get them. I had sent some books out that Rob had got me that I really like, some Conan signed ones from Bruce Jones, and I'm like, oh man, 4 to 6 months, I'll be looking at these. Here it is, another January later. I'm like, all right, maybe a year and 4 months.
I'm on 11 months on like the last batch of stuff that they have of mine. It's like I really don't send them hardly anything anymore, and it's still ridiculously long.
Rick's got you covered.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
All
Well, guys,
right.
if no one's ever checked out Random Rick's channel, he's got a fun little channel. Anything and everything can pop up on there. And another Xena fan, so he's a solid dude. And a big Contra fan from back in the day.
Oh,
But you can
cool.
see him doing a lot of retro gaming. So number 10, Tony.
All right.
Because
Number
now Rob
10.
and I are going through PTSD about our submissions.
Okay. Number 10 is a book that I picked up in 2008 or 2009. It's a reprint, but it's a very cool reprint that I know somebody out has got to have another one out there. So it says Marvel Collectible Classics Spider-Man #1. This is a chromium covered reprint of Amazing Spider-Man 300.
Oh, wow.
I bought this for $10 in 2008 just because I wanted a reprint of ASM 300. And since then I have seen this thing. I saw a story in 2018 where they said, "Hey, if you got one of these books, they're a fortune." And I checked out the list because I figured I'd have none. This was #1,
Hmm.
and they say that it's limited to 3,000. And the last time I actually did check the fair market value on it, it was like $900 for the grade at 10.
Yeah, I've never seen that one.
But
Interesting.
the funny thing was I almost didn't buy it because back then I really wasn't a fan of chromium or the gimmick covers, but I've changed a lot, and I figured, what the heck, it's a reprint, so I'll go ahead and get it, and I can read the story. But I went ahead and got it slabbed anyway, and now I've got the story and graphic novel, so I can still read it.
Right. Nice.
But my buddy, I was going to have it cleaned and pressed, and he was like, no. And he told me, I've had 2 or 3 people say that, I was one of the first people they'd ever seen that cover.
Yeah, I'd never seen it. I didn't know that book existed. What about you, Rob? You know a lot about those.
Yeah. No, I haven't seen it. In fact, what's it?
Well, the actual title of it is Marvel Collectible Classics Spider-Man #1.
Nothing like a mouthful. Good job, Marvel.
And
Right?
Marvel what?
this is the back of it. It's a Marvel Collectible
Collectible?
Classics Spider-Man #1. But this is the back cover. And they did an issue #2 where I believe it was a chromium edition of Spider-Man #1 from the 90s.
Marvel Collectible Classics. Yeah, limited to 3,500. Released in December 1998. 9.8 runs about $1,000. With recent sale at 960. A 9.6 run you 500. Well, that's not right. This is one of those books that's just all over the place because a 9.6 just sold recently at 500, but last month a 9.4 sold for 875 and a 9.2 sold for 600. So those are all this year's 2023 sales. So somebody got a steal. Looks like on
Yeah, I
that
was gonna say
9.6.
someone got a steal on that one. Right place, right time.
Yeah, somebody didn't know what they're looking for. Yeah, 9.6 is normally 9.6 is actually had been historically about $1,000. Yeah, the 9.8 is actually down because it was as high as 2K at one point
Wow.
during the peak. During
That's
the peak,
nuts.
yeah, that's a big. So I've never seen it or heard of it, but if there's only 3,500 of them, well, that means there's less of those than there are 9.8 ASM 300. So there you go.
Now you got to watch out for Santa Rob coming down your chimney to take presents and not give them.
Oh my goodness.
All right, number 11 with a personal story attached, Tony. Not that we haven't heard
All
any.
right. Well, I don't think any of my stories are going to get more personal than this. So this came out in 1994 by Marvel Comics. And back in some of the publications, you had the option to send in this card with $14.95 and some shipping, and they would send you a personalized comic. And you could put in your name, your friend's name, and the name of your town. So I did. And I got this X-Men and Captain Universe #1. And if you look real good, well, It says right there. It's got my name there, but my name is throughout the whole book. My buddy, his name is Ray, but we called him Opie back then. His name's in it. My hometown is referenced a couple times. It came with a poster with my name on it. It was a Heidelbrand Wolverine Marvel Masterpiece poster. It's got a letter from Professor X in it. It also came with this card. I'll get it right in a minute. And it had that on the back where it's got my name on it. Now, this book has taken it's a little bit more personal for me now because 3 years ago I lost Ray. He passed away at the end of his tour in a wreck. So this book means more to me than any book in my entire collection. But I had to share that.
Right, it's a great story.
And what's ironic is when I showed him that book in '97, and he hated it because it said Opie and not Ray. But and a few years later, he was like, you had all your friends you could have picked, but you picked me, so I was honored. But yeah, I look at this book now and I just think of him because, to be honest, I don't think I've ever gotten over losing him.
That's tough. Well, we're sorry for that, but it's cool that you got a piece to remember him with like that too.
Yeah. My only regret is I wished I'd have gotten 2 of them, so that way I could have gave him one.
Yeah. But hey, you were a kid then, right? Who wants to spend $15 on their friend?
Right, and that was expensive back then. Now you probably pay $150 for something like that to get your name and stuff.
$15. That was half a case of baseball cards, man.
Before we move on, though, I got to show you one thing that I just wanted to show you. I just wanted to show you this because this is kind of a goof. Anybody that's familiar with the CLZ app, I have my entire collection on. I have my entire collection on it. This particular book, I had a little fun with it. So in my app, and you probably won't be able to see it, but it actually says first appearance of Tony Gross as Captain Universe. I put that in there. I put all this stuff like this was my first comic book appearance, and then I even had it listed as a minor key.
Nice.
So
now you just need the movie deal, Tony.
Exactly. Man, hey.
And that makes sense with the Marvel, with the Mr. Universe, because he's been so many different characters throughout the Marvel history.
Yeah, and I want to point that out. I want to point that out too, because that story also had a female version as well. I'm sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off, Rob.
No, I was just going to say, see, then all you do is you get a walk-in on any Marvel just as an extra in the background, and then you can start to say, hey guys, you got to spec, man. They're going to bring Captain Universe in here because there I am in the background.
Yeah.
But that is a great book.
Yeah.
So I mean, congrats! It's a great way to have a memory of your friend. That's really cool.
Yeah.
It's a keepsake. It's awesome. And it's one that you created, which makes it even more personal.
Oh, yeah.
All right, so let's see Tony Spector.
He created it like a Mad Lib.
Right?
Okay. So my spec, since I don't really do spec, is more for me, and I think it's wishful thinking. But we know James Gunn talking about the new stuff with Batman and his son Damian. I figure the Bat family is going to get thrown in there sooner or later, and I figure we'll see probably people like Red Hood and Nightwing and so forth. So this is more of a long shot, a wish for me, but I want to see Azrael.
Oh.
The Batman Sword Azrael. I guess you can say it's the first appearance of Azrael, John Paul Valley, because I might be one of those rare people that actually liked, John Paul Valley in the Batman books.
Now that character's still around too, isn't he?
Yes.
I don't. Is he still around?
Yeah.
I think he was just in a storyline in the Batman Urban Legends and stuff.
Possibly, I haven't been reading that book, but I know that he was still hanging around with the Bat family for a while, um, in the current run. So he would show up from time to time.
The last I'd heard was that he had died, but I wasn't collecting back then.
No, they're not dead. They all come back.
Yeah.
They have a Lazarus pit.
There was yeah,
Oh yeah.
there was something to do with some weird something to do with the tech in his mask or something was going crazy. I don't know, but yeah, he shows up sometime and was helping out the Bat family.
Nice. Oh, well, cool spec pick. Another one that we haven't seen on the show before.
Yeah,
Nice. That was a good round of books, Tony.
Thank you.
I'm curious about the ones that you didn't show tonight now, because you said you kept switching them in, switching them out. So how much time did you spend driving yourself crazy making this list?
When did we talk about me showing up? Like 2 weeks?
Yeah. You've been swapping it in and out since?
Yeah, I had a file on my phone with all the covers, and it seemed like right when I'd be like, okay, this is what I'm going to do. 2 hours later, but you already showed this one, or you showed this one, you know, because I had like 5 other spec picks that I wanted to do before I decided on that one, and it ranged from Tomb of Dracula 1 to Something That's Killing the Children, but I wanted to show this one off because, like I said, when Sword of Azrael came out, I fell in love with that character.
Yeah, well, and he was really popular when he first came out.
Oh yeah.
But being in the Bat universe will do that for a character.
he was super edgy.
Rob's waiting for all that punchline spec to hit.
That's right.
Me too.
No.
Me too.
No, but great show, Tony. That was awesome. I love the books, dude. This is why I love this show. You get such personal books from people, and it's great. Like, you don't always need to see an ASM 300 or 252 or, stuff like that. Like some of the little touches, like the Fright Night was like really stood out to me. And, the Transformers you see, and that's cool. But everyone likes Transformers for certain reasons. And it's like G.I. Joe. Everybody's got a different Transformer that they're your favorite. And the GI Joes are always funny because you'll hear obscure characters. I'm like, really, I never even heard of that character. Who's Beachhead? Who's this? Or someone crazy, right? But I like that you like the Tarantula too. That's a nice pick. He's one of those guilty pleasures for me too. Like I used to like the original White Wolf that appeared in there, and but good stuff, man. Thank you for coming on and showing those books.
Yeah,
it was an honor to be here.
So we'll start wrapping up. We're going to go around the horn here, see what everybody's got coming up. We'll go, of course, to Rob, seeing he's already been a dirty self-promotional horn. He mentioned Only Slabs earlier. Rob, what's coming up for you this week?
A nap. Real quick here. Yeah, no. Thursday I'll drop a video. There'll be a video that drops. I think this week it's a Fisk Comics mystery box, $30 comic book mystery box. So you can see what you can get for $30. And then Saturdays Only Slabs. This week we'll have Legion of Comics on.
Nice.
So come on out and hang out. You'll be sure there'll probably be some DC
and some Hulk.
Probably some DC.
Yep, probably some DC. All right, Tony, what's coming up for you, sir?
Well, I got quite a few things online and offline. So in the next day or so, I'll be working on my next my comic spotlight. I'm hoping to have it out by Friday. It's going to be Captain America Comics #1 from 1941. I got to reread it, and I'm going to do a full analysis on it. It's like 66 pages long. And then I'm working on a video where I'm going to show off what I'm giving away for my 100 subscriber giveaway. Hopefully I can have that and drop it sometime Sunday to announce what I'm going to give away. And then Saturday, I'm going to be at one of my LCSs. Me and my wife are going to set up a table so she can sell all of her custom tumblers and stuff. And I'm going to sell some back issue comics. And there's going to be a lady there. I can't remember her name, but she did the voice of April O'Neil from the '80s Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles cartoon. And she's going to be
Oh,
signing autographs. So I
Nice.
mean, I may pick up something else and throw that into my giveaway.
Nice.
And for as far as I know, that's about it.
nice. All right. Well, and coming up on my channel, we will have Warlord on an additional the 10-1-1 this Thursday night. So I'll look forward to that. And we're just gonna keep having fun and rolling, guys. In a couple weeks, in the hot seat, we'll be back with some more guests. I was just getting some stuff redone for that show and some new intros and stuff. So I put it off, not knowing when all that would be done. And I had some people who were waiting to get on the 10-1-1. So I said, why not fill the time up with 10-1-1s then? Either way, I wanted to have a show on, and there's no shortage of people that want to show their books, and I want to learn about them. So, Rob, thank you as always for coming on and co-hosting. Tony, thank you for being a guest, man. Really appreciate it. Hopefully, you'll come on again in the future.
Absolutely. Just call me and I'll be ready.
Excellent. And for everyone in the chat, thank you guys so much for turning out. We had a great amount of people watching tonight. We really appreciate everybody. Thank you for supporting the show, the channel. Thank you for supporting my co-host and for supporting my guests. Everybody's links are in the description below. Please, if you haven't subbed anyone up, go check them out and show them some love. All right. Tony just passed 100. He's got a prize show coming up. So go sub him up, leave some comments on his videos, and get in the contest entry. So nothing to lose there. And great content. If you haven't checked out his in-depth reviews, they're really fun and really good. Way better than I can edit, that's for sure. And, and guys, until next time, keep it casual.